So here's something that should make a little snippet that should make our Facebook page. This has been brought to my attention, and I don't know if it's true. And I think it's something that if someone out there will test it so my father-in-law brought it to my attention.
All right.
He claims that if you take a Popeye's biscuit and throw it out, like just outside in your yard, especially if you live in the country, nothing will eat it. Huh? Nature will not eat those things.
What?
So he said he threw a whole box out for like coons and everything to eat, raccoons, whatever comes along. He said it's literally sat there and nothing would touch it. Nothing. So those of you who live in rural areas, please test that out.
Dude, that's incredible because I love Popeye's biscuits.
I do too. And
y'all are both varmints. I'm pretty sure y'all.
There we go. That's what I'm saying. It's like nothing in nature, he claims, will eat these things, but yet we devour them like they're going out of style.
I got a theory. Don't they use 7-Up to make them?
I don't know.
So maybe they know that there's carbonation that'll explode in their stomach like a seagull.
Perhaps. So you live in a rural area.
I'm gonna do it.
Test it. Test it.
But I don't know if I want to waste Popeye biscuits.
Yeah. So if this, hopefully this ends up on our social media.
What in the world is happening here?
You don't want to. So if this ends up on our social media, which producer, whatever her name is,
Butterworth,
needs to make it. So if this is you and you've tested that, please put it in the comments.
Put it in the comments. Post a video.
Look, let's do this. Throw it out in your yard. Take a picture every day. Post it and tag us.
Yes. Let's test this theory.
Let's do it.
Because I think it would be incredible to figure out if that's reality.
Yeah, first take
theory. I don't doubt my father-in-law. I mean, I know that happened at his house. Yeah. But I wanted to see if it's
could have been something else.
Yeah.
You should probably put a trail camera on it.
Dude, I got two set up at the house already.
Now we're taking it to the real level.
Put a trail camera on it. And if you see pictures of John Louvier up here, if you give your address,
I'm out here.
You are certain to see an animal.
I'm out here looking for all the Popeyes biscuits.
All the Popeyes biscuits. That's
all right. Where's the music, producer Butterworth?
Just testing the scientific theory.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the First Take podcast. We are so glad that you're joining us no matter where you're listening or watching from. We're glad that you're here. I am joined by two of my best friends and mentors, Bryan Carter and Beau Guidry. Say hello to boys.
Hey, hello.
It's good to see y'all. We're also joined by producer Butterworth. He's on the ones and twos.
She's in the house tonight.
So it's going to be a great day. We have a really good plan for what we're going to talk about. But before we do, I want to give a shout out to our unpaid sponsor of the week.
Let's do it.
We love to promote our local companies. And this week, we're going to promote and give a shout out to the Moss Bluff Florists and Gifts. Have y'all ever been there?
Yes. They are awesome.
Yeah, they do a great job.
Yeah.
They it's one of those places you can walk in and say, "Hey, I need something for this,"
and they've got it,
and they'll put it together.
Yeah, they're very. He's the guy who helped me. He's very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
He's very positive, no judgment. I'm like, so you're the guy who waited to the last minute, huh?
Yeah.
So no, he's amazing. The guy who helped me. I love that place.
Yeah, I walked in there a couple of weeks ago and I needed something, kind of a sympathy gift for somebody that was going through a rough time. And I said, I don't really know what this should look like. He was like, I got you.
Yeah.
Come back in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I went to Popeyes, got a few biscuits.
There you go.
And came back.
There you go.
But yeah, so y'all have been there. Have y'all gotten like stuff for your wives or what have y'all gotten over there?
I have not been there.
Oh, really?
No. Olivia prefers plants.
Oh.
Like that you can put in the ground and watch die slowly over time. That's
instead of watching them die slowly on your counter, you watch them die slowly outside.
So we have the negative of a green thumb, but she does enjoy plants.
Oh, good.
And so that's what she'll get.
Well, good. This place is really good, and it kind of leads into what we're talking about. And so give them a shout next time you need some flowers, or I think they also deliver.
They do.
They do deliver.
My first.
Yeah.
You can literally order through their website and they will deliver. That's how I think I got when we first moved here last year. I got Shay something that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very clutch. Super easy experience.
Yep.
I've used it multiple times.
Yep. So great people over there.
Give them a look next time you need some flowers or gifts or anything like that. I think it's a good thing.
I don't know why Beau's laughing so hard.
Right.
Clutch. It's like, I shouldn't have said that. Let me get some flowers. Is that what you mean? Or
It could
Was
be.
it last minute?
No, I needed some flowers, so I was like, oh, let's see.
They got it done.
Oh, cool. That I can order it right here, and they can deliver it.
But what you're talking about is probably the experience of a lot of men, I would think.
Yeah, I thought
also
forget about
also
something.
clutching that way. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And so one thing about flower shops, it's good for guys to kind of keep in mind often as we're going through life to think about, hey, how can I use this flower shop? How can I, make my wife feel special? And a couple things that I've been thinking about and reasons that I've been thinking about is, we just got through with Father's Day. And also today, the day that we're recording this, not the day necessarily that you're listening to this, but the day that we're recording this, Bryan, it's you and Shay's, I think, 21st anniversary. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a big day for you guys.
That's right.
You plan on taking her, yeah. Golf clap, right?
Yeah.
Me and Beau, we both, not to each other, but we've been married for 16 years. And so him to Olivia, me to Amber.
That's good, because this
thank you for the
conversation was going to
disclaimer.
go in a very different direction.
Yeah.
You're
We need
clearly
some
not my type.
clarification. Yeah, exactly. We look too much alike with the beard. Anyway, no, Bryan, tell us, y'all got any special plans?
Well, we're going to Nashville next week.
Yeah.
So we might do something in Nashville. Shay and I do date night every week. So we'll do something. We haven't quite figured it out. We usually try to, on anniversaries, we might figure something out together. So
I love it.
yeah.
So
we'll do something.
As I was thinking about Father's Day, I was thinking about your anniversary, because I saw a couple of posts this morning about it and, just started wondering, hey, as men, it's important for us to think through, like, how can we make our wives feel loved, how we can make them feel special. And so I wanted us to kind of dive into that a little bit and talk a little bit about how, some tips maybe for the guys out there. And really, this isn't just for guys. I would say that it's important for women and wives to make their husbands feel the same way, but make, your spouse, I guess is a better way to put it, feel cherished, loved, prioritized in life. And the reason that I'm thinking about this is because I know, just kind of focusing on men, but this really is for everybody. We did a busyness podcast a couple of weeks ago that with Eric and Lindsay Abear, and it went really well. And a lot of people got a lot out of that podcast as we talked about busyness. And I know busyness can kind of take over. You can get real busy in life. And especially men can get kind of one-tracked in our minds where we're focused on certain things and we can lose sight of what's most important. We can get distracted. And sometimes, like if we're being honest, we can even get selfish. Like when the stress starts to hit, we can get sort of really focused on ourselves and what we need to do. And it can cause some issues in our marriage. So I want us to dive into this a little bit, how we can make our wives feel special. And so I want to start with the first question. Bryan, you can kind of start with this one. Why, when it comes to cherishing our wives and making them feel loved and making them feel like they're a priority, or I guess we should say spouse for everybody, why should we care so much about this? Why is it a big deal? Why should we even be intentional about this?
All right. So I love this topic because I love talking about marriage, because the reason it's important is marriage is the primary picture that God has given to us to display to the world how Jesus loves his church. That is the picture, Ephesians 5. So we have to take our marriages seriously. We have to take loving our wives or loving our spouses, if you're a wife listening, loving our spouses the right way. We have to take it seriously because it is the way that the primary way that we communicate to the world. This is what the gospel looks like.
Yeah.
It looks like the laying down of oneself for the benefit of the other.
Right. Yeah, that makes total sense to me. Beau, why would you say that it's important to be super intentional with our actions when it comes to this? So he's saying, it's a picture of what, the relationship is, the biggest, most important relationship. Why would you say it's important for us as men and really spouses to be intentional and not let it kind of fall to the wayside and just hope it gets done?
Well, in a marriage relationship, it's a man and a woman, and the only person who is to meet those emotional needs, those physical needs, the household needs in that relationship are you two.
Yeah.
And so I think it should be the primary relationship that you focus on second, really only second to your relationship with God. And so I think initiative is an important word whenever it comes to maintaining that. And so someone has to go first.
Yeah.
And so just always lead the way. And so at some point, there'll be a little jockeying for position there, who's going to lead the way in this. But as a man in my home, it is my, priority to take the initiative to make sure that Olivia knows that I'm not only all in, I'm all in whenever it comes to our relationship together in our marriage, not just for today, but forever.
Yeah. And that's so good, because taking that initiative, going first, if both of you are trying to do that, then it's going to never feel like, this is one-sided.
Yeah, needs are going to be met that way. There'll be, some needs are going to fall through the cracks because we're not perfect.
Sure.
But whenever you are, taking the initiative, you're going to feel more loved and more valued, and the marriage experience is going to be much more positive, and it's going to be a better picture of the gospel.
It really will.
In what way do we stand lacking in our relationship with Jesus?
Yeah.
There is no lack.
Right.
If we feel lack, it's because of a perceived need that we have that maybe is not being met in a way that we want it to be met, but maybe that's not his goal in our life.
Yeah.
And so there's no lack in a relationship between a believer, a follower of Jesus, and their relationship with him. And so because he's always meeting our needs, he's always there for us. And I think that that's a common denominator that we should translate into our marriages, where we are always present, we're always there.
Yeah. So one of the, the culture would probably tell us that how much you love someone is the most important thing when it comes to a relationship. But we've used the word so far in this podcast quite a bit that I am starting to learn is probably a more important word when it comes to my marriage relationship than even love. The word love is, and that word is cherish. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to throw that word out. I want you guys to think about what, maybe if you've heard, if you've read, if you've gone into the differences between to cherish someone and to love someone, and how you see that playing out in different relationships that you have, and maybe specifically in your spousal relationships. Where do you see cherish going a step further than love? I'll throw it out and I'll answer it if you guys don't have something off the top of your head.
Yeah, I feel like you're leading it. So give us another jumping point for that.
Yeah, so like as I've studied the word cherish more and more, it's a deeper word to me than love, because we in our society we really overuse the word love.
Yeah, it's yeah. Unfortunately,
I love my wife. I love cheese.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. A while ago, I said I loved Popeye's biscuits.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And so it's really what we've done in the vernacular of our culture is we've reduced the effect of that word, and I think it doesn't hold maybe what it should. And so when I've thought about cherish, it goes to another level. If I'm to say that I cherish Amber, this is about action. This isn't about thought. This isn't about words. This is about what I'm actually doing in my life, the decisions that I'm making. So how do you guys feel whenever I say stuff like that about that word cherish?
Well, a couple other ideas that come to mind are prioritize and honor. Mm-hmm. So, prioritize her above my own needs, my own self. Yeah. Again, like I said, we're as men, as husbands, we're called to die to self.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As Christians, we're called to die to self, but particularly as husbands in the marriage relationship, we're called to die to self.
Yeah.
And prioritize her over anything that I think I need.
Sure.
So that's first is cherish means to prioritize her, and then honor, speak well of her. Never, ever, ever, ever speak degradingly to your wife or about your wife in any way, shape, or form.
This is a hard lesson that I've had to learn.
Yeah, because
if I'm being honest,
yeah, because we'll do it in a joke.
Yeah, I like to joke around a lot.
Yeah, and it's fun to be funny, yeah. and I enjoy that you're funny because you are. And I like laughing. We all like laughing.
Yeah.
It brings there's place for it.
Yeah.
But not at the expense of your wife. There's no place for that.
I've really had to learn.
And boy, I tell you, at work. And guys, just be careful. Don't call her your old lady, your ball, whatever vernacular, ball and chain, whatever words get tossed around, the idioms that get tossed around at especially, where it's all men, working together. Those idioms get tossed around, and boy, I would run from those because they are the plague.
Yeah. And I mean, for me and Amber has an incredible sense of humor too.
Yeah, she's funnier than you are.
A lot of people, most people say she is funnier than I am.
That's a fact.
And because of that, at some points I felt licensed to really have a good time and joke around, and sometimes it was at her expense. And over the years, I've learned that does some things, not everything, but some things do hurt her feelings. And even now, dude, I'll screw this up, man. I'm so jacked up sometimes. Like, I'll catch myself in the moment. I like to, just poke a little fun, and sometimes it's at her expense, and a lot of times it really hurts her, and I need to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
If we're talking about cherishing.
Yep.
Yeah. If it's not funny to the person who is the object of the funny, it's not funny.
Yeah.
Well, I think you should be said that even their laughter could be a self-defense. That doesn't mean
Exactly
it's funny
right.
to them.
Yeah.
It's probably just a mode of self-defense. I would just, again, I've said what I need to say on this.
Yeah. So,
I think the idea of cherishing, we need to add the idea of value to that.
There you go.
And so we're promoting and increasing value of our wives or our spouses in our homes. And so, again, I love Olivia, but I love cheeseburgers.
yeah.
They're two different things, obviously. I don't cherish cheeseburgers. I can live my life without it.
Yeah.
But it does have a value attached to it. It's $3.50 at whatever restaurant.
Used to be $3.50,
Used to be
bro.
$3.50, yeah.
Where are you
Love
going
to know
for
the
lunch?
cheeseburger that still costs
Yeah.
$3.50.
And so there is a value attached to it, but I didn't set that value. The only person who can set the value in my heart for my wife in terms of cherishing her is me.
Yeah.
And so I can't allow even how she feels about herself or about how the world feels about my marriage relationship. I have to set the value, and it needs to be extremely high. I think the book of Romans says that we need to outdo, or we need to show honor to those and outdo one another in showing honor to that level. And so it's a kind of a note of competitiveness. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and so
I love that.
Yeah, it is. So, I'm going to show honor to her, and I'm going to honor things that I value. And so, golly, if we value our spouse, not only will we be more fulfilled, but our marriage would be more fulfilling to us, and they will be more fulfilled. And so it's cherishing and value is kind of how I see they are kind of working hand in hand.
So as a side question, you mentioned competitive. Are you saying that I should keep score in my marriage?
Why don't you tell us how that's worked out so far?
How's that going?
I'm just teasing. No, the answer to that question is absolutely not. We should never keep score on anything. That's a road to disaster.
Yeah.
On both sides, really.
Sure.
So
Except Pop Darts. You can keep scoring Pop
dude.
Darts.
All right. So this will be an aside.
Pop-Tarts or
Pop
dart?
Darts.
What is? I don't know.
It's
what
a
this
game
is.
you can buy on Amazon.
Okay.
There's these Facebook ads for it. That's how my brother found it.
Oh my
Right?
gosh.
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
I think it's a Facebook ad, and he got hooked in. And so it's these rubber darts. You put this orange thing in the middle of a table, and you stand around the room, and whoever gets it close to that middle thing, you've seen
videos
this.
of this.
Best game of all time.
All right, I'm gonna have to check this out.
Dude, you got to get it.
You have
Did
to.
you just
I think
say
Amber
the
just-
best game of all
Well,
time?
you know how it is. I love this game.
That's a bold
Yeah, that's
That's what we're talking about, right?
Do you cherish your love?
Listen,
Which
man,
one?
most of us are trapped by the moment. And in this moment, it's a moment of Pop Darts. I think
Gotcha.
Amber just ordered it actually this past weekend. So
Good for
we'll
y'all.
have one
All
at
right,
our house.
that's gonna be some good.
But anyway,
times.
that's totally separate. But yes, you're right about Pop Darts. You should keep score there. So
Shut up,
well,
Pop
look,
Darts.
let's put the link in.
It can also-
in the show description.
Yeah, it could also be bad for your marriage. But yeah, anyways.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
so-
So while we're talking, let's just run with this for
family
a
game
minute.
night.
One of the worst disagreements and arguments Shay and I had. I'm competitive, very competitive. She is absolutely no competitive
Really?
in her whatsoever.
Wow.
Now about certain things that she is,
Yeah.
but Scrabble, not that one.
Yeah.
So we've been married probably 18 months, still in that newlywed phase. And listen, I mean, we were playing Scrabble one night and I played something. It was like I used a J and a Q. I don't even know what word it was. I can't remember. But I hit it. Yeah, I hit it on triple word score. I mean, I nailed, and boy, I started struggling.
You were gloating.
I was gloating.
Yeah.
She literally patiently but firmly took the board, gently pushed it away, and she said, "This game is over," and got up and walked out of the room. I was like, what just happened here?
Oh yeah.
Because I'm competitive and I grew up with a brother and he and I were both like, we're just going to destroy each other. Yeah, I don't
You'd fit right in with my family.
Probably. probably.
My family is a bunch of savages.
Yeah.
When it comes to playing games,
Yeah.
we're after each other. We're literally after your soul. Like, we want to take you out when it comes to playing games. It
Our
gets rough.
family game night normally has at least one person who just goes and gets up out of the table, just leaves.
Just checks out.
Yeah,
Done.
like
Yeah.
I'm done. Somebody has cheated. Even in Monopoly cheaters, it's against the rules in our home to cheat. And so, yeah.
So full caveat, I was being a jerk and deserved to be
sure,
walked out on.
sure.
So I just need to make that clear.
Well,
But
for all the people that are wondering if the pastor's home ever has some issues, sometimes, when you play Scrabble.
of course.
Yeah.
So, hey, as we're thinking about cherishing, let's talk about some specific ways that in your marriage you guys have cherished your spouse. Like, what are some specific things that you've done to show her that you cherish her, that you go above what, the normal, love word is?
So I talked about we have date night every week.
Yeah.
Shay and I are not legalistic people, but we are legalistic about that. We have date night every single week. So it falls on different times depending on schedule. But it's even so much so now, like when we are saying, hey, mom, dad are leaving, Elise, our little 6-year-old, she even knows, like, oh, y'all are going on a date? Because we talk about it so much, how important it is. So that's like, it doesn't matter how busy both of us are. Both of us are busy. Life's just busy these days.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to fight against that. And that's important. That was talked about on another podcast. But whatever's happening, you carve out time.
Yeah.
We've talked about this. You don't say I don't have time. No, you make time.
Yeah. Right.
You make time for what's important. So that's one way of, like, we both showed each other, like, doesn't matter what's happening, doesn't matter how crazy life is. We always have at least a 4-hour segment a week where it's just us and it's a date night.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I think some of the things that has a real value in our marriage that we do together is we go to a marriage conference every year out of town. We do that on purpose. And we went several years ago for the first time. And
with no kids, right? That
kids.
That needs to be said.
It's the best.
So we get out of town. And we generally go either to go early or stay a day late. And we just enjoy, Houston or Dallas, wherever we may be for that particular conference. And we sit down and talk. Have a good time. We also hang out with friends. John and Amber's been there with us at that conference, and there's always a good takeaway. The other thing that we do that is not a conference is we yearly have a marriage retreat that we take, and we call it a vision retreat. We learned this from another organization, and that vision retreat is 36 to 48 hours. You get away. You spend about half of the time just dreaming about what God would want your marriage to be and your family and setting goals. And then the rest of the time you just have fun and enjoy one another and come home. And so we don't have a lot of close family. We don't have a great close network of people who can watch our kids. But when we tell them, hey, we would like to get out of town so we can have a better and healthier marriage for our family, no one has just said, I don't think I can. And so they've stepped up to the plate to be able to allow us to do that.
Yeah, and you got to figure that stuff out. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I'd like to kind of follow up with you on something there. So I know the idea of going on a date night, taking those retreats, that makes some dudes just sweat bullets because like that means I got to talk a lot. Talk about feelings. So you said you and your wife, like y'all take an extra day and y'all just visit and talk. Like, help a dude out, like help some of the guys out. Like, what does that look like? What do y'all talk about? And kind of just like be real, just basic, down to earth of like, if one of the guys out here listening is like, I've never done that. That makes me nervous. Why should they be excited about that?
Well, when we do that, I learned something about Olivia that I didn't know already.
Okay.
We've been married for 16 years. And so I always learn something. It's not just some giant epiphany or anything like that. Sometimes it's difficult for me to hear because it's something that she needs me to work on. But it's just a common conversation. We're not sitting down. We're not settling marriage issues,
Yeah.
And we're not talking shop either, the majority of the time. We're just hanging out.
Yeah.
And so, hey, do you like that burger?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I've seen that
No agenda then.
No agenda. No, not on the just hanging out time.
Yeah, good.
one of the things I've seen that if you are nervous about that, plan some shared experiences that are just more fun oriented. Like, one of the things that you can do that you don't have to be good at to do is Top Golf. But everybody loves it. I've never seen, we have proved that. I've never seen anybody not have a decent time, even no matter how terrible they are.
Yeah, even my wife, she doesn't like golf, but she likes Top Golf.
Yeah, so just a shared experience, bowling, any putt golf, anything. And what happens is in those shared experiences is you're just doing that, just having a good time. Conversations are going to happen. And so, I would say like for a guy who is nervous about, what am I even going to talk about for this long?
Yeah.
Just go do something together.
Yeah.
Just have that time.
I'll say that maybe another concern that people may have is, we're on a budget. I don't know if we can afford to do that, to go out. And so I'll go on the record. We're on a pretty tight budget too.
Yeah.
And so we plan for this. Financially, we plan for it. And so if you set some time aside, you plan towards that financially, you make a plan and you get it done. I had no idea how big of a need that Olivia had for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that she points at in our timeline is when we started doing those things, how much health it added to us as a couple and individuals as well.
Yeah, and I'll throw something else out there. So Amber and I do some of that same stuff too. But one of the things I've learned about Amber is, and I think a lot of women would fall into this category, is what makes her feel most special is not necessarily the trips or the things that cost money, but when I make time to just sit on the back porch and hang out or grill or, do something like that, just that, and that's free. Mm-hmm. Other than the cost of the steaks or the burgers or whatever we're grilling, that's totally free. But, I have to be intentional about making that time and giving her those moments. Like we just moved out to some property and she just wants to sit there and watch the birds and sometimes the deer and, that sort of thing. And so, it doesn't always have to be this big, elaborate, planned out thing. Yeah. Sometimes it just needs to be that time that you're saying, hey, this time's about you or about you and the kids even. But she's told me that those times make her feel the most special out of anything that we're doing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We recently had a surgery in our home, and she apologized to me for me having to be away from work with her.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you talking about? That's crazy talk, man. Yeah. I'd rather be here with you in this hospital, just hanging out and talking through. And so a friend of mine, a mentor of mine, said it's called the power of the being present.
Yes.
And so on the ministry side of it, it's the ministry of being present, during a dark time or difficult time. But be present. I want to turn a page real quick. May not be on your agenda, but one of the ways that I'm learning to be present is no electronics exist after a certain time in our home.
Yeah.
Especially for me, and I'm leading the way in that because I'm not present if I have a device near me.
That's right.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
And so it's not about just being physically there. It's about being fully there.
That's an actual adjustment that you can make today.
For free.
That would literally have immediate results.
Yes.
In a marriage. You can make that adjustment right now.
Yeah.
And lead the way in your house on that, and it would have immediate results. So, all right, I want to go ahead, and if you've listened this far, it may sound like us three are trying to act like we got it all together. We're always present. Producer Butterworth, it sounds like, we're husbands of the year, right?
Oh, yeah.
I know these guys, and I know myself. That ain't the case. We have all screwed everything that we've talked about so far. We've all screwed it up at different points. And so I just want to throw that disclaimer out there, and I want to invite us to think about those moments in our lives where we haven't gotten this right. Because for me, if I'm being honest, there's been probably as many where I haven't gotten this right as I have. And so some of the people listening to this might be sitting there thinking, I've already really messed all of this up in my marriage, in my relationship, and it's hard to feel like there's any hope. It's hard to feel like it's even worth trying to fix things. And so they might be sitting there thinking, I would love to maybe do this, but we're not really in a good place right now. And so I would like us to end by giving some hope to people that don't feel the hope right now.
Yeah.
How would y'all respond to someone that feels like that they're in that type of place where they're wondering, is this even worth it to me to try?
I'll go first in a story. Years ago, I went to this conference where this guy said, hey, success is not that you're great at something that people think is great. Success is doing things that matter.
Yeah.
And so shortly after that, bedtime, we're getting into bed, and I was a pastor at that point, and doing well. And Olivia says, you're a great pastor to a lot of people, but not here. That's a gut check.
That is.
So I had to make pretty severe adjustments at that point. And that's where I adopted the philosophy, family wins.
Yeah.
And so the power of being present became really important to me at that point, because she didn't say that to me to get at me.
Yeah.
She said that to me because she had a need and she wanted more for me, not just for us. She wanted more. So I would say that there are probably more spouses that want more for their other spouse than what they think they can be. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like the husband is not living up to his full God-given potential, and the wife so badly wants him to be that.
Yes.
For his own good. And then the fruit of that would come into their home and lives. And so to answer your question directly, if you've blown it, you got to be honest with where you are.
Yeah.
Before you can ever move forward. And so I remember having that conversation with Olivia and just saying, listen, I don't even know how to respond to that, but I know you're right.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to figure out a way to make these changes to where we can still be successful in ministry, but home is always going to win. And so she helped me with that. She cheered me on with that. And so I don't think any marriage is too far gone, man.
I agree.
I don't think any issue is too great.
I'll tell you this, man. About 5 years ago, we were 10 years into marriage. 5 or 6 years ago, we were 10 years into marriage, and we looked up, both of us, and wondered how we had gotten to where we were. It was not great. Like, we were in a bad spot. We weren't communicating well. We weren't happy. It was a rough patch. And one of the things that I had to come to grips with is that it took 10 years to get where we were. It wasn't going to change overnight.
Wow, yeah.
And so I had to continually tell myself, it wasn't a magic bullet. It wasn't a magic pill. It was consistency over time, showing Amber that I truly wanted to be different, her showing me that she truly wanted to be different. And I can say, there's still healing and restoration happening today from those first 10 years. But we are on a path of healing and restoration. And it's not always easy. It's not always perfect. It's not always beautiful. But we know that we are at least both rowing in the same direction now. And that wasn't the case for those first 10 years of our marriage. And so that's what I usually tell people as they're in that moment that we were 5-6 years ago, is just don't expect it. It took you a while to dig this hole. It might take you a minute to get out of it. But it's worth it. Your marriage is worth it. Your spouse is worth it. And just do what you can. Take small steps. That 1% per day, if you improve 1% per day, after 100 days, you're 100% different than you were. That's only a few months.
Yeah.
And so just those small bites, right? And that's what I'm trying to do.
So the question that is, how does somebody like they've blown it have hope?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, there we go. I agree with Beau. That just got real bubbly all over my phone.
The buble.
Yes. I agree with Beau. Thank you. There's. Oh, we need a new producer. All right,
go ahead.
So,
back in it.
I agree with Beau. I don't think there's any marriage that can't be repaired. Statistics show that 80% of them, no matter where they are, giving them 5 years, hard work, diligent work can turn around. But in that, we've all counseled people who've been in that situation, and tell me if I'm wrong, but the first session is usually a lot of the man sitting there saying, yeah, well, if she would just do this, 100%. and the wife sitting there saying, yeah, well, if he would just do this. And my counsel to all of them is go home and look in the mirror for a week and just open your mind to the possibility that where y'all are is at least 50% your fault.
That's right.
If not a lot more than that. And if both parties, husband and wife, will begin to approach things like that, listen, I'm at fault here.
Yeah.
I've got to be self-aware. I've got to do some hard work. I've got to listen when my wife says hard things like what Olivia, and I'm sure it was loving, it was,
Yeah.
It was one of those, like, I want you to be better.
Yeah.
Believe the best about each other. That's really hard in those moments.
It is.
It's impossible to believe like something like what Olivia said it's like, you could have taken that as, well, I got a lot of things I could say to you too. So
Defensiveness is one of the biggest traps of a marriage.
I'll say this. One of the checks that I felt in that moment was, this is hard for her to say to me.
Oh, I'll bet. Yeah. She probably agonized over it for at least a month, if not more, to say it. So, yeah. So I say, spend some time looking in the mirror. Ask godly people that you trust. Don't ask your friends at work who've been divorced 4 times what they think.
Yeah.
That's
not the best for
that's
advice.
terrible. Don't ask that guy.
Right.
Ask somebody that loves his wife, who cherishes his wife, like we've talked about, who models all of the things that you want to be in a husband, and ask him, hey, what is going on with me? Like, I need you to help me figure me out. So that's what I would say to start.
I love it. I think that's a good place for us to end it today. If you're out there and you're struggling and you're wondering, if there is any hope, there is, and you can have that hope, and we can make changes, slowly and over time, and it can completely change our relationship. So we want to tell you how much we appreciate you for joining us today on the First Take podcast, wherever you're watching or listening. If you like this type of content, make sure you like and subscribe the First Moss Bluff podcast. We're going to be right back here next week for another episode. I want to say thank you, boys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
John.
We'll see y'all next time.
All righty.